It's time for our Friday Not So Friday. Friday Not So Friday. It's time for a Friday Agile Not So Agile podcast episode. And today I wanted to talk about overthinking. I know a lot of individuals, a lot of people, a lot of teams, a lot of people struggle in life where they just really want to think things through. And to their own credit, it's not always a bad thing to overthink. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of that planning mindset. But how do you stop yourself from overthinking everything, right? We all dwell on unresolved personal conflicts from time to time. That's just normal. Who hasn't ruminated on a hurtful comment or unintentional harm we might have caused someone else? Feeling bad about something you did or something done to you is human. But while it's expected that the arguments we've had, the negative events we've experienced, and the major decisions we face haunt us, overthinking can also pile on new problems. Rumination rather. Listen to me, I'm having a day. Rumination or overthinking is a hallmark of poor mental health and unhappiness. It's a psychological tendency that, if left unchecked, can reduce your enjoyment of life, and it'll make you to where even if you are satisfied, you're not satisfied for very long, right? So there are benefits to analyzing the past, but too much rumination can torment you, and worse, cloud your judgment about how to proceed in the future. The consequence of too much rumination are focusing on problems rather than solutions, sacrificing the present moment, losing productive time, sleep, healthy relationships. All of these things are affected. Studies show that there is a way to circumvent rumination, which has a myriad of benefits, including helping us to overcome distraction in a world that has evolved faster than we have. And that is the crime. Everything is just moving at such a breakneck pace that we need to find ways to fix it. And I don't want to say fix it, but we need to find ways to make that mental adjustment in our minds so that we don't feel like we have to make that same pace, our pace, but at the same time, we don't want to let things linger. So, what is rumination? I knew someone was going to ask. Rumination is a tendency to keep thinking about bad experiences. Um, it's a lot different than healthy self reflection, though, right? Self reflection is a good thing. If you've ever chewed over something in your mind that you did, or that someone did to you, or over something that you don't have but wanted over and over and over again, seemingly unable to stop thinking about it, you've experienced what psychologists call rumination. This passive comparison of one's current situation with some unachieved standard, um, as described by a study done by authors on rumination, can manifest in self critical thoughts such as, why can't I handle things better? Another study notes, by reflecting on what went wrong and how to rectify it, people may be able to discover sources of error or alternative strategies, ultimately leading to not repeating mistakes and possibly doing better in the future. A potential valuable trait, but boy, that can make us miserable. Rumination impairs decision making and worsens psychological stress responses, and it's directly correlated with not only leading to depression and anxiety, but also increasing in their severity. It can prompt us to distraction, and it's one of our 4 psychological factors that drive us to dissatisfaction. Thankfully, some studies have found a way to rewire our rumination and turn it into wisdom. So, how do you do this? Have you ever tried talking about yourself in the third person? The practice, called Iliism, goes as far back as the ancient Greeks. Several modern studies have shown that talking about yourself in the third person allows you to see past your personal biases and improve decision making and emotional regulation. Now, I want to warn you, it does drive some people crazy when you do it, but I can tell you for certain 100% that it works. So, this form of self distancing allows us to circumvent Solomon's paradox, which is the idea that we're great at applying wise reasoning to others' lives, but terrible at applying it to our own life, right? Distancing ourselves from our problems helps us to see them as clearly as we could from another person's point of view. That's why this is a powerful method for breaking the cycle of rumination. It allows you to observe your thoughts and feelings objectively rather than getting caught up in the emotional storm. By referring to yourself as he, she, or they, or whatever third person pronoun you might prefer, you detach from the immediate experience and gain a broader perspective. In this way, it's similar to talking to yourself as a friend would, another method for beating negative thoughts and self talk. Several studies, many have concluded that practicing this to defeat rumination can actually make us wiser. According to a recent study, wise reasoning includes intellectual humility. Intellectual humility. What am I doing today? Intellectual humility, recognition of uncertainty and change, others' perspectives and broader context, and compromise. He also found that wisdom is better than intelligence in predicting emotional well-being and relationship satisfaction in the study. I agree with that. This study was done by a guy named Grossman in 2021, and it shows that this can help us build a long-term habit for being wise. For 4 weeks, 300 participants kept a daily diary describing their social conflict or irritating interactions. Half of the group wrote in third person, the other half of the group wrote everything in first person. Before and after the month-long exercise, two psychologists scored each participant on wise reasoning. The study found that those who wrote in a third person improved their intellectual humility, open mindedness about how solutions could unfold, and consideration of attempts to integrate diverse viewpoints. According to Grossman in a study, this project provides the first evidence that wisdom related cognitive and affective processes can be trained in daily life. So, to use this powerful cognitive reframing tool, take a note from the study in the third person about your conflicts. You might practice this during a daily 15-minute morning brain dump. Wonder where that comes from. Which will not only reduce rumination and make you wiser, but also alleviate the internal triggers or negative feelings that drive you to distraction. So, conquering those internal triggers is the first step to become indistractable. If you're not the type to keep a diary, you can get those same benefits by visualizing your conflicts from a third person perspective or relaying them to yourself in a third person, either aloud or in your head. Think of a recent conflict with a partner, friend, boss, or picture a significant life decision you've had to make. Describe that situation, but only in a third person. It will go something like this. Instead of saying, I was annoyed that they complained to me about the distraction, but hadn't read a certain book, you could say, Tom was annoyed that they complained to him about a distraction. Okay, do you see where I'm going with this? If you put it in third person, it makes a lot more sense. If you're talking to yourself rather than writing, make it more realistic by addressing yourself while looking in a mirror if you can. Pretend you're a therapist or some other wise figure and give advice to your reflection, who is the client. You can use these tools and these tricks to help control your attention and boost your focus, ultimately helping you develop the most important skill, which is becoming to the point where you can't be distracted or misguided as easily. And I think that's what it's all about, right? We need to make sure that we know exactly what we're doing, and we need to make sure that we're exactly focused. And if you can regain this focus without overthinking and understand how to leverage this line of thought in third person, it's really going to help you just be a better person and someone more tolerable. And it's going to help you explain the things that are going on in your life to others and help you better understand why you're emotionally in the place that you are. That's going to do it for this one. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have something you want us to talk about, learn more at AgileDad.com. We'd love to hear from you. And until next week, have a safe weekend. We'll talk soon. Take care.